I'm Jerome Weeks. Stone may be the oldest technology humans ever mastered. So how does an artist make stone an innovation in urban planning and environmental design? Brad Goldberg creates large-scale projects that combine sculpture with landscape architecture, urban planning, and sustainable engineering. He and his wife Diana have created wind-powered fountains and solar-powered sculptures. His company, Brad Goldberg Incorporated, has major artworks in France, Austria, Japan, and North Texas. Brad, welcome to Think.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you've worked in very rural areas and in densely populated downtowns, and you're not just decorating these locations, you're often responding and shaping them. So what do you bring to them? What design principles allow you to work in on a hillside in Scotland and in the Fair Park Dart Station?
It's a good question. I try to usually have my brain as an open slate and try to approach every project completely uniquely so that I don't ever repeat myself. And sometimes that's a problem because people don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I try to really approach everything as the specific context for that place and time.
Well, you often seem to make your work fit a location almost naturally.
Right.
But what is native or natural about the DFW airport or downtown Houston?
Well, they each have their own particular qualities, and you have to seek out what seems to make sense for that place. In the case of DFW Airport, it was the experience of flying over West Texas that seemed to be something that seemed to be would catch people's eye. So it's really ferreting out what's important to a particular place.
So you do a lot of research on the history, fauna, flora of the area?
I do. I research every project and try to find out what I can offer that's different. I'm always trying to make something that I've never seen before. So that does require a lot of research.
How long does a typical project take then?
Oh, some can be very quick, but some can be as long as 10 years. The project I did in Miami for the airport was a 5-minute idea that took 10 years to realize.
Why? Why was it so long? Just planning process?
Just the planning process of the building, and then came 9/11, and they decided not to build the building. Then they decided to build the building because it would be good for the economy. And so things can take a long time, and it's hard to sustain your original intent over a 10-year period.
You said you were first enraptured by making things through clay molding, but stone is clearly very different, and stone is your primary material.
Yes, it is.
What attracted you to stone?
What attracted me, I started out with clay, and clay for me was too easy. I think that I have been attracted to something that is so hard to do, so difficult, and the technology of which is being lost as we speak, and so I've always tried to do things that are hard to do and that'll be time enduring.
When you say the technology is being lost, what do you mean?
Well,
Chisel and hammer doesn't seem to be going away.
No, but there are less people that choose to work with stone than ever before, and the old craftsmen that fade away that really knew the techniques. So I've tried to use techniques that are old and timeless and enduring.
You also operate in a number of different kinds of stones. It's not simply marble, it's marble, limestone, I mean, you name it.
Right. Every place that you work demands a different material to relate to that context.
You also seem to return to the same sort of almost primary shapes, egg shapes, urn shapes, and kind of a snaky spiral. Why?
I like the feeling of archetypal objects, things that look contemporary right now, but in 100 years will still look as if they belong. And so it's not to work with what I would call passing fashions, but to work with archetypal and timeless elements.
Your work also is much bigger now than just simply stone sculptures. How did landscape design enter your plans?
Well, I started out, Jerome, as a sculptor, and realized kind of quickly that my mind was not limited to just that. So I took a degree in landscape architecture at all, not really intending on being a landscape architect per se, but I wanted to widen my focus as a sculptor. And so I think for my entire career, I've tried to fuse landscape and sculpture and landscape and urban design and things like that.
Sculptures and landscapes seem essentially passive to a degree. I mean, once you've worked out the ponds and pathways and stones, they sit there. And yet you've begun to incorporate technologies, alternative energy sources into these. Why?
It seems that it's part of the discussion right now. And if artists aren't the ones that are leading the discussion, then artists are behind that. So I've taken it upon myself to try and pioneer the use of alternative energies in sculpture. And so that has led to a number of projects that use wind and solar, and it's been it was a little bit of a difficult sell at first, but they've been very, very well received, and that's been really heartwarming, and I continue to want to do work with energy systems.
But again, it seems as if the landscape wouldn't demand a kind of technological addition to it. It's just trees and stones. I mean, it's something of a leap. Why did you feel like we needed to add wind power or solar power to these things?
Well, I believe that nature is my desire to work with nature, but it's also, I believe, in the technology and the fact that technology is something that will save nature, if you want to look at it like that. And so it's a fusion, and also I think that these technologies are here to stay, and why not experiment with how to make them really interesting to look at and really beautiful so that people accept them and they become part of our vernacular landscape.
You've spoken of fusing things, and you often seem to be working with Stone Age technology and yet high technology. You've imprinted boulders with binary code and
right.
with solid-state circuitry.
Right.
Why?
Well, I grew up in a technology family, and my father invented computers for IBM, and so I grew up with technology as part of my life and have seen it change throughout my lifetime. And I think that any artist goes to themselves to find out what they have to say. And so a lot of what I've felt that I have to say is this fusion between nature and technology, the conflict between nature and technology, but also knowing that technology is here to stay, so I've been concentrating on the beauty of nature and technology.
It leads to a very sophisticated look for some of yours. I mean, again, there's this kind of almost primitive
right.
quality, but then with something like illumination, it's this very polished, sophisticated look.
Yes, illumination fit into its context of being a sculpture for a company called Symantec, which we all know as being Norton antivirus on our computers.
Right.
So it seems to belong there.
Well, thank you very much, Brad. I've enjoyed your work. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it.
Thank you, Jerome.
To read about Brad Goldberg's artworks, go to artandseek.org. Chris.
Thanks, Jerome. To access our free podcast, go to the Think page of KERA.org. And we'd like to know your thoughts on the show as well. You can send email to think@KERA.org. I'm Chris Boyd. Thanks for being with us, and have a great week.
To learn more, go to KERA.org/think. Think is made possible in part by Del Perot Systems. Del Perot Systems develops and delivers a comprehensive suite of IT and application services, business process solutions, and consulting services designed to help customers succeed. For more information, you can visit Dell.com. By Southwest Securities, a nationally recognized regional brokerage firm that's been meeting the needs of Southwest investors for more than 30 years. Southwest Securities is a member of the New York Stock Exchange and SIPC. By the Executive Education Center at the University of Texas at Dallas, providing degree and non-degree programs to help corporate professionals and executives stay ahead. On the web at som.utdallas.edu/executive. And by the valued support of KERA members. Thank you.